Hello, hello, hello. You are watching SOS. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and I am saving our bedrooms one bedroom at a time, saving our sex lives one bedroom at a time. I am so excited to continue the discussion that we started last week about how to solve various sex problems. I got some really good feedback, and I heard that this really helped some of you. So let me know if last week helped you, if you watched last week, if you didn't, watch the replay and let me know. Let us know. More importantly, let Hassani know. Let him know that it helped you out. So let me know where you're streaming from. Please feel free to drop your questions and your comments in the chat. I love answering your questions. I love shouting you out. So let me know again where you are streaming from so I can shout you out. But as I said, today, we're continuing our conversation about common sex problems, how to solve common sex problems, problems that come up over and over, issues that come up over and over. Hello, L from Vegas. How you doing today? Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let your friends know because guess what? They're probably having some of the same issues that you're having, but just don't want to tell you about it. Okay. So just, tell them to like, just tell them to like, tell them to subscribe by you sharing so that they don't even have to let you know if there are specific issues that they're dealing with, but just tell them, hey, just check it out. Just check it out. Right. That'll do me a solid. All right. So let's jump right in. We ended up last week talking about foreplay and how important that is, and how that is one of the sex problems that comes up many, many times is that, there's not enough, or you're not getting the type of foreplay that you want. So that one comes up many, many times with couples, and that's kind of where we ended last week. But this week, we are starting with lack of affection. This is something that literally I hear all the time, that there isn't enough affection. I wish we were more affectionate. And, the thing is, this can actually be a fun fix. Well, just like the foreplay one, too. It can be fun. But, like, start off by telling each other one thing that you appreciate about the other person. That's something that's super easy, right? Start off telling your spouse just one thing that you appreciate about them every day. One thing. And hopefully they reciprocate that and tell you one thing that they appreciate about you. And I've mentioned this before that everybody wants to be appreciated and wants to feel appreciated, right? But this is especially important for men. And I talk about the four things that men need all the time. They need number one, respect. That is number one. But they also need to feel valued. They need to feel um, appreciated, which is what we're talking about right now, for you to be able to share that one thing. And they need to be affirmed. They need to be affirmed. But that appreciation is so important because many times our men are going out, working hard. Not to say that you're not, ladies, but I'm talking about the men right now. Going out, working hard, trying to take care of their families, trying to um, provide. And because I think I had this mentality early on in my marriage that it was something that my husband was just supposed to do, right? So why should I be thanking you for stuff that you're supposed to do? And where that came from was me feeling as if he didn't appreciate what I was doing. And I thought he felt like, this is stuff I'm supposed to do. And so I didn't get appreciation in the way that I desired to receive that appreciation. So it wasn't that he didn't appreciate me, and it wasn't that he wasn't showing it. It just wasn't in a way that I could recognize or receive. And so I then, not intentionally all the time, was not showing him that appreciation. And now we're both not feeling appreciated and nobody wins. So at the end of the day, it is important that, ladies, we let our men know how much we appreciate the hard work that they do, and that they are out there working hard and grinding, trying to take care of us and trying to take care of our families, and doing whatever it is that they do to make the relationship work, the marriage work, the family work, the home work, whatever it is. We do have to show that appreciation to them. And so, likewise, fellas, we need you to show your appreciation for your woman as well, because we do a lot too. We do a lot to make the marriage work, to make the family work, to make the home work, and we want to feel appreciated too. So just start off every day telling the other person one thing that you appreciate about them, and make that a practice. We can do little things, to show affection. Think about the things that you used to do when you first started dating: holding hands, putting your arm around each other when you're sitting together, rubbing each other's shoulders, you know, so on and so forth. But whatever it was that you were doing early on to show affection to your significant other, bring that back. Bring it back. All right. Because they miss it, they need it, they want it, they appreciate it. So we need that affection. And one way to do that is through showing your appreciation for the other person. All right. So next sex problem: emotional disconnect. Oh my gosh. Is this not one that I hear? I hear this one all the time, that we feel emotionally disconnected from each other, or one person is feeling emotionally disconnected. So, this is SOS, right? Right? So I can talk about the S in SOS, right? Which is the sex, right? So, it's okay if both of you are just in it for a physical release. It's okay if we are in alignment, we are in agreement that we both just need a physical release right now. Like, that is okay if you're both on the same page with that. But if one of you wants an emotional connection and the other person just wants a physical release, that's when we run into some disconnect. So we do have to communicate. We do have to make sure that we are on the same page, because if our motives and our intent is not the same, somebody is going to walk away disappointed. Someone is not getting what it is that they want out of the situation, and then we have disconnect. So if one is looking for that emotional connection and they don't get it, then it can be empty sex. And that's not what we want. That's not appealing. A lot of people aren't signing up for empty sex, right? So to avoid that, we want to work on seeking that intimacy outside of the bedroom, spending more time together, finding new ways to connect, finding new activities that you can do together, working to form a stronger bond, and exploring things that you and your partner might find pleasure in. And that's really important, again, to be able to connect outside of the bedroom. Even with foreplay, as I said last week, foreplay starts outside of the bedroom. And we have all been misinformed to think that it begins in the bedroom. It starts from the time you wake up. Okay, the time you open your eyes, that's when it begins, with that first kiss in the morning. Now, those of you who don't believe in, the morning breath situation, kiss on the cheek, kiss on the forehead, kiss on the neck, away from the nose so they can't smell the morning breath. But it starts as soon as you open your eyes, you know, before you leave for work. If one of you leaves the house or both of you leave the house, with that hug and that kiss on your way out the door. But that's how we work on building that connection, not only having affection, but being able to communicate, being able to foster intimacy in multiple ways, spending more time together, doing things together that you enjoy. The more pleasure you experience together, the more connected you feel. If we're constantly arguing and fighting, we're never on the same page, we're not on one accord, the more disconnected we feel. We can't agree on anything, the more disconnected we feel. So it's important, again, that we're working to find new ways to connect, new activities, different things that we can do to bond and connect with one another. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back. Do not go anywhere. Do not swipe. Don't you do anything. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. You're watching SOS, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back again. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and you're watching SOS. And I just want to shout out LJ again, Lady Z. And this is, I think, Achille Simplice. And Kenny Burkett. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, or good afternoon. Sorry, good afternoon. Depending on where you are, it could be morning. So good morning and good afternoon. I want to talk about some of these comments that I got, which I absolutely love, love, love. Lady Z says, my husband and I watched the last episode and we really learned a lot. Thank you so much. You are welcome. This is my pleasure. I enjoy doing this and I'm so, so happy that you and your husband got something out of episode one, part one. And so hopefully you'll get something out of part two today. Hello from Cameroon. I think it's Achille, like I said. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And LJ says, sometimes appreciation goes out the door. I feel like he's supposed to do. Yes, right. I'm feeling this after his betrayal. Not sure what I want from him pre sex slash affection. Okay. This is really, really good, Elle. And thank you so much for sharing because this is real. And this is what a lot of our couples are dealing with. After infidelity, it is hard to show appreciation. It's hard to see the good in your spouse, in your partner because of the betrayal, because of the hurt and pain of that, the trauma of that, and trying to recover from all of that. And I completely 100% understand that. And so what I want to say is you're going to have to work harder, to find those little things to be appreciative of. And maybe, Elle, you can start writing it in a journal, keeping a diary, like of something that he does. Write it down. Write it down. Because maybe in that moment, you're not in a headspace where you can say thank you in that moment. I mean, that's where I would love for you to be so that you can catch him while he's doing something good to encourage him in the moment so he can make that mental connection and be able to have that mental reminder to repeat the thing that he did because you appreciate it. But if you write it down and you start keeping a running journal of all of the things that he's doing right, then you have something that you can go back to when you're in one of those PISD moments, when you're having a trigger. You can go back to that journal and you can look at everything that he has done right. And you spend your time there focusing on what's going well and the positive, because the more you do that, the better you will be, the better light you'll see him in. And just remember, whatever you feed will grow. So if you continue to sit in the things that have gone wrong, the bad things that he's done, you sit in that negativity, that will grow. But by you documenting the things that he's doing well and the things that he's doing right, the things that you appreciate, you have that as a point of reference when self doubt creeps in, right? And when you're feeling like he's just supposed to do it, go back to that journal, look at that running log that you have, and think about the fact that, you know what, he doesn't have to do it. It's a choice, it's a conscious decision. Just like everything that you do, it's a choice. You don't have to do what you do, and it's a choice that you make, right? So it's a rewiring, it's a shifting of the mentality and thinking. But I so appreciate your honesty here and saying that appreciation went out the window when infidelity happened, because again, you're not alone with that. And you said you're not sure what you want from him pre-sex slash affection. Well, that's something that I would challenge you and encourage you to spend some time thinking about, because it's hard for him to meet a need that he doesn't know exists. It's hard for him to satisfy a want if he doesn't even know that it exists. But you have to be clear, get clear about what it is that you want and you need, and share that with him, because there may be some disappointment that you're experiencing right now that he's not meeting a need or want, but he didn't know that it existed. So we can't hold people accountable for things that we never knew were expectations. All right. So I want you to spend some time thinking about that and then share it with him and give him an opportunity to feel whatever that want or need is for you. But thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate that. All right, so let's jump back in. All right, we were talking about emotional disconnect as one of the sex problems, and I gave you ways that you could actually solve that sex problem. So we'll jump into the next one. Okay, so baby pressure. Okay, so I don't know how many of you this affects. I really, really don't. But there are couples right now who struggle with the pressure to have a baby. And many times when couples are trying to conceive, the man may feel like he is performing on demand, especially if she is watching an ovulation clock. Um, she's like, all right, I'm ovulating, let's go. So the man could really feel, again, like he's having to perform on demand. And that's okay to an extent. There should be a balance between when you're ovulating and spontaneity, right? You definitely want to make sure that the only time you're having sex is not when you're ovulating. Like that's not the only time you should be having sex. Sex should be for pleasure as well, right? Not just for procreation. So you want to make sure you have a healthy balance of that. But communication, communication, communication. I tell you this every time you watch that word comes up, right? I'm talking about communication, because you have to determine how to walk that line. And there are some males that want to know every detail about your cycle, while others would just, I don't want the specifics. Like, I don't, we don't need to talk about all that. So both of you can bring a sense of excitement back into sex, even if the ultimate goal is to conceive, right? So doing things like wearing lingerie, sending sexy text messages can actually help to make the baby making seem fun rather than like a chore. Now, there's also on the other side of that, when you're not in agreement and you're not in alignment, one wants a baby and the other one doesn't. This is a touchy subject, and this actually causes a lot of discord and disconnect in couples when you're not in alignment with wanting to have a child. And there even been some couples who have intentionally set out to get pregnant knowing that their spouse does not want to be pregnant. And that's on both sides. Like husband trying to get the wife pregnant who don't want a baby, and wife trying to get pregnant and husband doesn't want a baby. So I don't want you to think I'm singling out anyone. It has happened on both sides, but you must be in alignment. You must be in agreement because this is a life-changing, life-altering decision, and you must be on the same page regarding that. All right? So if the issue is specifically what I'm talking about today is there's pressure to make a baby, then what I'm saying is find a balance between trying to make the baby but still enjoying sex. Okay. The one where you're not in alignment with wanting to have a baby, that's a deeper conversation, and we can't cover that in this show. Okay. That's a book of session type of conversation. Okay. So you definitely want to make sure if that is the challenge that you are having and you are struggling to resolve that issue on your own, that you reach out for help. You get some support because I know how that can be. So you want to set up a discovery call, call that number 678-200-8996 and let us walk you through that because it can truly make or break your relationship if you are not on the same page. So I completely get that and I understand that. All right, and we're here to help you with that. Okay. So the next common sex problem that comes up, no oral sex. Okay, so I feel like unfortunately I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this one. I feel like I'm gonna get in a little bit of trouble, but it's okay. I'm here for it. I am here for it. So if you love oral sex but your partner refuses to do it, literally it can create feelings of rejection. Then anger sets in, then disappointment, and it can be a whole situation, and then that can lead to a loss of interest in being sexually intimate, period. And if your partner isn't a huge fan of oral sex but you really value it, then you have to ask them to think about it as something that they can do ever so often, just to show that they're invested in your pleasure and your enjoyment. So when somebody gives a little, it goes a long way toward their partner feeling cared about, and ultimately that's what it's about, right? We want to make sure that we are not only meeting our individual needs, but that we are meeting the needs of our partners and our spouses as well. Okay. We want to make sure that we are pouring into each other as it pertains to our sexual pleasure and enjoyment. Okay. So compromise, compromise. That's what it is all about, people. Okay, so there's some that I actually did not make some bullet points, but we're going to talk about anyway. Okay. What if you started a family and you feel like that has completely like ruined your sex life? Okay. New babies in the house. Sleep deprivation is real. Stress is real. And that can truly make your sex drive take a plunge. Okay. But I will tell you, it is not forever. It is seasonal. Everybody just has to be intentional. Keyword intentional about expressing their needs, fulfilling the needs of each other, continuing to connect emotionally, continuing to connect on an intimate level, which I've already given you ways to do that. But literally, you cannot allow your relationship to die, more importantly your sex life to die, because you have children. And that's why I talk to a lot of couples about co-sleeping. I'm not mad at the co-sleeping, but the co-sleeping has to be for a season. It has to be for an appointed time, and then we got to kick those babies out the bed, because if you don't, it will continue, like literally it will affect your sex life. You don't want to have to go to another room to have sex because the baby is in your bed. Right? So we have to set those boundaries early on so that it doesn't ruin your sex life. And if it's already messed up because of the baby, we got to start doing some things different, because guess what? Your marriage is priority over those children. It's God, spouse, then children. So that means that we have to continue to pour into each other because those children are going to grow up, they're going to move out, and then it will just be the two of you. And so you have to continue to nurture and pour into that relationship because, as I said, those children will leave at some point. At least that's the goal for them to get out. All right. What about thinking like your partner takes you for granted or feeling as if your partner takes you for granted? If you feel like your partner doesn't appreciate your the things that you do or who you are as a person, it really just damages how you feel about your partner and the relationship as a whole. So, there are many times couples are like literally dancing around the issues that they have instead of communicating. So, you have to share with your partner that you're feeling like they're taking you for granted. And you always want to use I statements. When you do XYZ, I feel like ABC. So there's no room for ambiguity. Those I statements are so powerful and they're essential for helping your partner to not feel as if you are attacking them. But you have to communicate if you're feeling taken for granted. Spend some time thinking about the ways in which you feel taken for granted so that you can clearly articulate that to your spouse and you're doing it in a loving way that is not attacking them. All right. Next common sex problem, we're not having enough sex. Hear that one often. Hear that one often. We're not having enough sex. We're not doing it enough. Oh my goodness. I know. So we have to figure out like what your numbers are. Talk to couples about this all the time. What is your ideal amount of times that you would like to have sex per week? You think about it for yourself, your spouse thinks about it, you have a conversation. If you are on the same page with numbers, we don't have anything to talk about. But because I'm having this conversation, that means that you're typically not on the same page. So if you are willing to bend to whatever your spouse's number is, cool. If they're willing to bend to whatever your number is, cool. But if that doesn't happen, then let's take an average. So, for example, let's say spouse A wants sex 7 days a week and spouse B wants sex twice a week. We need to meet in the middle. So maybe we're having sex 4 or 5 times a week. So you want to try to compromise, right? If you cannot yield to the other one's number. And also think about the different ways that you can have sex. It doesn't always have to be penetration, you know? There are many, many different ways to have sex. There's outer course, there's oral sex. There's sometimes you might just want a quickie, sometimes you might just want some foreplay. Like there are many, many different ways. So talk about the different ways that you can engage in sex or sexual activity because sometimes it's just about switching things up and doing them differently. You may have in your mind that it has to look a certain way every time we have sex, but you might even be able to get to that number seven if you shift the different ways that you have sex. So it's a conversation, right? There's that C word again, communication. All right. So the last common sex problem I want to talk to you all about today is premature ejaculation. And this is a real issue that does happen. A lot of men do struggle with this. And oh my God, if there were ever a time to tread lightly with a conversation, this would be it. When premature ejaculation is the problem early on in the relationship, it pops up as an issue throughout the relationship. If it happens the first time the two of you have sex, then you might want to keep your feelings under wraps. And definitely in the act, you don't want to have that conversation, but you want to talk about it later on because we have to talk about how we're going to deal with this moving forward. Are we up to something non sexual? Are we up to outer course? And if you're not familiar with that, I did a whole show on that, so you can catch the replay on that. But we have to talk about how we're going to navigate that. Sometimes it's a matter of you need to make a doctor's appointment, see a doctor to make sure there's not a medical cause. Rule out the medical piece. If it is something medical, then there should be a treatment plan for it. If there is not, a medical cause, then we have to find out like what is going on within the body that is causing this premature ejaculation. A lot of times it's mental, and if we're able to shift the mentality, then that helps. Sometimes you just need to slow down. Sometimes you need to switch up positions. There are different things that you can do. So if you're struggling with that and you need some assistance, and you know, again, you've been to the doctor and it's not a medical issue, then you may just need some additional support. And I am here for you for that. So what do? Make that discovery call and let me help you out with that so you can be enjoying the sex that you desire to have, that you are experiencing the fullness of what it is that you can have. All right. So I want to say thank you so much for all of you who tuned in today. Again, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We will be here same time next week, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Tuesday, we are here doing what we do, trying to save these sex lives. And so make sure you tune in. And like I said, like, share, and subscribe. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And again, I'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a good week, you guys. Bye.